Hey everybody, I'm back, and as you can see, this second video is on the subject of declarative programming, or the differences between declarative and imperative programming. And this is going to be another kind of higher level video, and then we'll get into coding in the next one. But this will be short. Um, so first of all, what is declarative JavaScript? Um, so when people talk about React, they say it's declarative UI development, and similarly with Regal, it provides a declarative API for WebGL. Um, so what does that mean? That means it's the difference between uh, code which tells you or allows you to say what you want done versus code which um, sort of forces you to, to to provide every step of the process. The classic example is getting to someone's house. There's two different ways to let someone know how to get to your house. One is to just give them an address and say, "Hey, go to Google Maps," or you know, non-branded map software. And the other is to say, "Turn right on 47th, go 3 blocks, go up the stairs, go into the parking lot, and my house is inside the flower bed at the bottom of the stairs." Um, so let's look at this in code, right? If you've got a function called multiply by 2, that's going to take in an array as the input and generates a new output. One way to do that is to loop through each element of the array, multiply each element by 2, and push that to a new array, which you return. And so this is the imperative approach. It does have advantages, which we'll talk about in a minute, but it also has some disadvantages. Um, in declarative programming, we would use a very helpful array method called map, and simply take in that array and map over each element of that array, multiplying it by 2, returning the new array, which is returned by the map function. And so declarative programming is essentially a higher level of abstraction. It has a lot of advantages. There's often fewer errors because you're not, for instance, here in the imperative version, we're needing to specify each index I, and a lot of times, a lot of the bugs in software come from, for instance, array.length issues. You mismatch the intended length with the previous length in some way, and so you have fewer errors in declarative code. It's more concise for sure. Look at this, that versus that. And it's great for optimization. If you want to change a bunch of code, you can just change that in one place. Tweaking algorithms. If you want to tweak this kind of code, you have to tweak each loop throughout your code base. Whereas here you can just tweak that map function. On the other hand, declarative programming is usually a little slightly less performant. It's not very noticeable in a lot of cases, but in some cases it will be. Big one is you need to learn a new API. So you need to learn the map method. You need to learn all of the array methods, for instance, to work with them. And then this other big drawback is just it's unfamiliar to people. So if you don't understand how to do it, if you haven't come across it, if you're working with people who haven't come across it, if you're writing code for other people to read, humans to read that can't follow it, that can be a drawback. And that relates again to this higher level of abstraction, which is a key aspect of declarative programming. Um, but it does give us a lot of advantages, and so in React is a declarative interface for the DOM essentially, and so what that means is that instead of handling all of the DOM manipulation, we pass that off to the React render method. And that's extremely helpful. And in fact, it's more performant because of the virtual DOM that React uses. And similarly with Regal, WebGL is a super big pain in the ass. The API is hard, it's convoluted, it's very very specific, and Regal takes away a lot of that pain for us by giving us this declarative interface. And so in each of these cases, React and Regal, that declarative interface is built on this foundation of functional and declarative code that we're going to be talking about in these next videos, and the tools that we're going to be learning are very useful for working in either environment. And so in the next video, we're going to talk about arrow functions. I'll see you in a sec.